we're based in Louisville, but you see we have two water treatment plants, one in Louisville, one in Providence Village, and four water reclamation plants, which are treat wastewater and those are those red stars. And currently, based on our latest estimates, we're now serving about 460,000 people with drinking water here in Denton County and the city of Saline and Collin County, which is about a 60,000 person increase from last year. So we are seeing rapid population growth, which is putting a lot of strain on our water infrastructure, especially, but also water supplies. And so currently, both of our water treatment plants are under expansion to be able to provide service to those areas. And our existing raw water supplies come from Louisville Lake and Ray Roberts Lake, and that's through contracts with the cities of Dallas and Denton. But we also are part of a partnership to bring pump water over from Chapman Lake that you see there on the far right, which is kind of straight east or a little northeast of here. And you can see Lake Rolfe Hall, that red one is a new reservoir that we're building. Hope to have it complete and be able to pump water from it the end of 2026. So we'll see how that goes. But so there's all this to say there's a lot of variety in our water supply, and we're continuing to look for additional ways to or additional sources of water to be able to meet our growing population. But as you see, existing supplies, water conservation is a big focal area for us because what better way to uh, further your water supply by using less or only using how much you need. So there's a saying that Texas is in a continual state of drought, broken by the occasional flood, and we definitely see that. This year, we've been blessed with a lot of rain this spring, and not just a lot of rain, but a lot of rains that are spread out, maybe a week between each rain system that comes through. So there really has not been a need for anyone to have turned on the sprinklers yet. So hopefully, all you've been doing is checking those to make sure that they're working properly and getting them fixed. And we're going to go through some of that as well. And like I said, we're growing rapidly. The Dallas-Fort Worth area is adding about 1 million people each decade, and that's projected to go to 2060, 2070 in that time frame. And so, uh, but not just population growth we have to deal with, but drought is always around the corner. Back in October, it was not looking good for us because we had one of our driest Octobers on record. But then we've had a wet winter and so far a wet spring and early summer. And so, but we know July and August are coming. And so there's our outlook for uh, our temperatures this summer. This is from the National, whatever it's, the NOAA, Atmospheric Administration, something, Oceanic and I can't say that. Anyway, they're projecting well above average temperatures for us, which we know means extremely hot here in Texas. So, uh, water conservation matters because it helps us reduce our seasonal and peak demands, which I'm going to show you more what that means on the next slide. But it'll help increase our community sustainability if we're not having to do these big expansion projects for our water treatment plants. That just in turn makes water rates stay lower and helps us be more resilient when these times of drought come through because we already have these good conservation habits in place. So these are some of those habits I was talking about. That we like to focus on. The first is limiting our outdoor watering to only as needed. And so first we like to just kind of talk about how much water sprinklers actually use, because a lot of people are not aware that a lot of these spray heads and rotor heads, multi-stream nozzles can use anywhere from 3 to 9 gallons per minute for each head. And so if you have, you count up how many heads you have with how long you're running them and how often, then you can start to add up just how many gallons you're using to water your yard. So then that is why last year the Water District implemented a mandatory 2-day per week watering schedule to be in place at all times, not just in times of drought, but certainly in times of drought, we would have our customers do more enforcement of that to just let people know, hey, you need to water on these 2 days. A lot of our customer cities and utilities do have designated watering days in place. And so if you actually go to waterlessyall.com, we have a chart at the bottom showing which city or utility and the designated watering days. It's most base it off odd or even address of your home. And so you can go check that out, or you can go check out your city or utility website, and they should have that information on there. But the point for the 2-day per week watering schedule, this is a common practice across the state now. And even some parts like Austin and San Antonio are down to 1 day per week. But the 2-day per week and just kind of our normal operating it helps level out some of those real high peak days that we get when lots of folks are watering their lawns on the same day. And if people are watering more than 2 days a week, then we're going to see lots of high water use days. And so being able to spread that water usage out, allow water storage, so the amount of water in the water towers, being able to allow those to recover their water levels, just makes the service more reliable. But also, Texas A&M researchers have found that spreading your waterings out to 2 days per week or less will actually cause your grasses and other plants to send their roots deeper into the ground. As you can see in this graphic, if you're watering more frequently, that top level of or that top layer of soil stays wet, and so the grass has no reason to send its roots deeper into the ground. But if you allow that top layer of soil to dry out, then the grass will send its roots deeper into the ground where there is still soil moisture. So in the end, you'll have more resilient lawns that can withstand hot and cold temperatures better. So for this year, we are asking folks to give a drip and pledge to water less. And so, but if you have your phone out, you can scan this QR code, and that'll take you to our Water Less Y'all page, where you can click then on the pledge button. And if you do that, then you'll get a free gift bag of goodies like a rain gauge, sticker, magnet, pin, things like that to help you in the meantime. And then we do have monthly irrigation repair kit winners, where it's also includes a pair of Paternity socks. And in October, we'll do a drawing for 3 grand prizes. 2 of those are smart irrigation controllers, and I guess the ultimate grand prize is a $500 gift card to Rooted In and a free landscape consultation with them. And so that's Rooted In is a native plant store up in the Pilot Point area. If you haven't been there, it's a fantastic store, and the guys that work there are excellent. So some other tools that we provide to residents to help you in your effort to reduce watering is this Water My Yard program is one that we've had in place for about 10 years now, pretty close to 10 years. And it's built from this network of weather stations, like this one you see here. We have 3 of these stations, soon to be 4, that we have in our region that provides daily water data to Texas A&M, who actually manages the Water My Yard program. And so if you go to this website, watermyyard.org, and you create an account and indicate which type of sprinklers you have. So, and if you have multiple, then you just create one zone for each type of sprinkler. Then then it will tell you, email or text you each week of how many minutes you need to water that week. So it takes the guesswork out of knowing how much to water, because a lot of folks don't know, you know, how long to run sprinklers to get half an inch. So Water My Yard takes that guesswork out. It sends you an exact minute recommendation to go along with that, and it's based on local weather data and the time of year. Because if you think of, like, in March, you only need a little bit, if any, watering, as opposed to July, where you need probably 100% of your watering. And then it's nice on weeks like this where, I don't know about y'all, but at my house on Flower Mound, we got 2 inches of rain last night. And so I think there's only been 1 week this spring where it has recommended putting out water. And so currently we have over 8,000 subscribers to our weather stations. And in 2024, the service only recommended watering 20 weeks during the entire year. So if all you do, even if you don't adjust based on the minutes, if you just to look and see if there's a recommendation for 0 watering, then just go turn your sprinkler controller off for a week, and you'll save a great deal of water. So when you do need to water, especially as we get into our hotter times of year where we may need to put out more water, we definitely advocate for this cycle and soak method. With our nice heavy clay soils here in North Texas, those can only absorb maybe a 1/4 inch of water at a time, maybe even less in some cases. And certainly if you have a sloped yard, you need to run less. And so what this does is you water for a shorter cycle, so like 5 to 6 minutes for your fixed spray heads, and then you let it soak in. So you let it soak in for an hour or so, and then run another cycle if you need to. That way, all that water is absorbing into the ground. It's not running off and going down the street, because concrete doesn't grow, so we don't need to water it. So this is what some of those runtime recommendations would be. So like I said, for the fixed spray heads, about 6 minutes, give or take, to get a 1/4 inch of water out onto the lawn. For the rotor heads there in the middle, it's about 15 minutes, give or take. And then the multi-stream nozzles, about 25 minutes. Now, this is going to be very dependent on your yard. So like I said, if you have slopes, and you water these number of minutes and you're still seeing runoff, then maybe cut it back a few minutes, so you don't get that runoff. And then foundation and tree care. So with trees, it's generally recommended to water around the drip line. So basically how far out the branches spread, you want to go straight down and kind of water in that area. And really just for the first couple years after planting, especially for young trees. Big mature trees, they don't need watering usually. But I know foundations are a big problem here in North Texas. We've spent several $1,000s on our own foundation. But instead of running your whole sprinkler system just for your foundation, you could use a soaker hose, or a lot of homes, newer homes now, have dedicated drip lines for the foundation. And so putting those soaker hoses 8 to 18 inches away from the foundation, and then watering to a depth of 8 to 10 inches. I never know what that means, but basically run the soaker hose until the ground is dry and you might see a little water running off. Okay, so um, these soaker hoses, drip lines. Before I talked about sprinklers putting out gallons per minute. Well, these are measured in gallons per hour. So drip lines, it may take you 30 minutes to run or get quarter inch of water or so out of some of these systems. So just might want to keep that in mind as well. The next is maintaining our sprinklers just to keep them working properly. So, and I'm not going to spend too much time on this because our last water talk we had our irrigation specialist, Quintaris Thomas, going through some of those, how to do some of those quick fixes yourself. There's a lot that homeowners can do on your own. We know it can be intimidating, but unless you have broken pipes and things like that, there's a lot that you can do on your own. We also have a great list of videos on our YouTube channel to show you how to do some of those things, and we're working on some more. So, but we definitely, when you first start using your sprinklers in the spring, or maybe even check them in the winter, so you can get someone out to fix them before the spring starts. You want to check for broken heads or nozzles. You want to look for misaligned heads if they're spraying the road, if they're spraying the brick on the house, things like that. It's pretty obvious if they're not spraying where they should be. Clogged nozzles, so there should be a nice even stream of water coming out of these heads, and if it looks like there's parts of the spray pattern missing, you might have some debris in there that's clogging part of it. Sunken heads, we see a lot of soil movement here, or if we accidentally drive over these heads, kind of like this is actually at my house, where this was a head that I had actually just replaced, I think 2 weeks before, and it had gotten run over again, and so broke the base. And so these are things that need to have continually check, especially if you have a company mow your lawn for you. They're having cases where these mowers are going so fast that they may not even notice that they knocked the top off your sprinkler head. And so you might just have a geyser out there. So just some things like that to keep in mind. And then plant obstruction, whether it's the grass is too high or it's shrubs are blocking them, there's things to look for in that. And so before I mentioned one sprinkler head could put out 3 to 5 gallons per minute. But if that head is broken, like in this photo, it can waste up to 10 gallons per minute. And you're not only getting the effects right there, where there's probably going to be a lot of erosion right there around that broken head, but now you've lost all that pressure throughout that zone. So none of the sprinkler heads are putting out the water that they need to. So it affects everything. Be sure and check your drip lines too, in case you get a weed eater or something like that accidentally hits one of these lines. And like I mentioned before, we are working on some drip irrigation DIY repair videos as well. And then a program we've had for a few years that we haven't advertised as much as these others is our irrigation checkup program, where our new irrigation specialist, he is a licensed irrigator, will come out to your home. He will check your controller settings and do a quick check of each of your zones to make sure. He would go and look for all of those things, and it's a great opportunity to get one-on-one um, advice from him as well, and he provides a report that kind of outlines all these things and even a estimated water savings amount based on your controller settings. So you see, we've last year we did about 571 of these with a company that we contracted with, and the cool thing about having reports is that we can look at data. And so from this, we found that 36% of homeowners were overwatering. That means they're watering more than 1 inch per week, which is generally the recommended amount, which might even be a little too high. Um, but 36% of these folks, so I don't know, roughly 200 or so, were watering more than 1 inch per week. And, and you can see if those people who were overwatering adjust their controller settings down to 1 inch per week, they could save over 2,300 gallons on average per week. And then you see below at the bottom, all cumulatively, whatever these 200 homes could save almost 361,000 gallons of water every week combined. And so it's a very, very good program. It's kind of eye-opening to see just how much when people overwater, they tend to overwater by a lot. And so this is a great way. And 11 repairs or adjustments recommended per home on average. So we know there's lots of uh, problems out there. And you see the top recommendations: to straighten or raise sprinkler heads, to clean the nozzles, to adjust the spray pattern, and then to lower risers. But what we see as the big benefit of this program is the change in knowledge that folks see. And you can see the swing on this chart where the blue bars represent how people felt about operating. They rated their knowledge of how to operate and maintain their sprinklers before the checkup versus the orange bars, which are after. And we actually just got numbers back from an analysis of this. And the 5 years, 2020 to 2024, in this program, we saw a 63% increase in knowledge to good or excellent knowledge, or those, very knowledgeable to extremely knowledgeable. So a huge benefit as far as having the confidence to know how to operate your system, how to water efficiently, and to know what to look for that needs to be fixed. So here's another QR code for you to scan if you would like to request a free checkup. I don't know if I mentioned that before, but this service is free, and we do have it on our website. We've had a few little kinks here and there, but we are managing that program pretty well at this time. So I'll give you a few more seconds for anyone who wants to scan that. All right, next, we want to look at ways to upgrade our sprinkler system, controller, and parts. So rain-freeze sensors. These are gadgets that will help prevent irrigation during or after rain events. So the device looks like this. They're typically put on gutters or on fences, and a lot of them have wireless ones now, so you can put them anywhere really. And basically what it does is it has a little disc in there that when it gets wet enough, it will flip a sensor that turns off your irrigation controller. But the thing with these is they need to be checked every year, especially if they're wireless. They might have batteries that need to be replaced, or things like that. And so, but even better than that is upgrading to a smart irrigation controller. Now we know a lot of new homes have controllers that you can actually buy a separate plug-in device. that can then make your controller a smart controller, basically to where it could be controlled by the phone or even controlled by um, a weather network that that irrigation controller manufacturer is subscribed to. Um, and we want you to look at the EPA WaterSense labeled smart controllers because they go through more rigorous standards testing. Uh, and the cool thing about these is that I have one in my house, and if there's rain forecasted within 24 hours, it will keep your sprinklers from running. So it does even look at weather forecasts. I know I've mentioned these before, the multi-stream nozzles or MP rotors, they're also called. These are 30% more efficient than the standard spray heads because with water being sprayed in those multiple streams, the water drops are bigger and they're less susceptible to evaporation and misting, things like that, that you see a lot of times with the standard spray heads where um, they get more mist in the air, a lot of that's going to evaporate and not even hit the ground. So these, and it allows, because it's not putting water out in one spot for very long, that's why it does allow you to be able to run them longer without having to worry about runoff because it's applying that water uh, at a slower rate than those standard spray heads. Sometimes pressure can be a big problem in certain areas. The pressure's too high, which can cause misting and things like that that I mentioned, which would lead to more loss of to evaporation. So there are things, pressure regulated sprinkler bodies. So you can see this is an example of one where there's actually a pressure regulator inside of the sprinkler head. So I know a lot of people put sprinkler or pressure regulators in the line itself, which will definitely help. But you could also add these when you have to replace a sprinkler head. Go ahead and replace it with a pressure regulated one to so that you avoid all that misting. And the EPA estimates that if every home installed these pressure regulating sprinkler bodies, the U.S. could save over 31 billion gallons of water each year. So that's a big number. We do have a recognized green professional program where if you're just not comfortable with making these repairs and things or upgrading your system like this, you can call or email one of the companies listed on this directory there that can do that for you. And basically, they're recognized because they've gone through a class series with us in Tarrant Regional Water District and the local AgriLife offices uh, with a greater emphasis on water conservation, native plant landscaping, and the latest irrigation technology, things like that. So we just see it. We're recognizing their efforts to go above and beyond to be part of this series of classes, and so we want to, because we want to be able to provide a directory of companies that we know have a greater mindset towards these things. And lastly, our plants. We want to incorporate more native and adaptive plants into our landscape and practice better lawn care. So native plants, these are ones that are have evolved in this area, and so uh, they know they've adapted to the rainfall patterns, the climate, the soils, things like that, as opposed to exotic plants from different parts of the world that may need more water or more fertilizer to be able to survive here. And these are more heat and drought and cold tolerant, and they also help our local pollinator species, our butterflies, hummingbirds, bees that also help us by pollinating our crops. We can, if we incorporate more of these native plants into our landscapes, we help them with the resources they need as well. So there's a couple websites that we like to tell people to go to get resources on, what native plants work best in your landscape. TexasSmartscape.com is one that you can go to. That it's got a plant database that you can look up, what plants would work good in your area, because some plants love it in the shade and some plants love it in the sun. And so you want to be able to know which plants would go best where. You don't want to put sun-loving plants in the shade because they won't do well. And then there's also the Denton County Master Gardeners. Usually each county has its own Master Gardener group. I know Collin County has one, Tarrant County has one, and Dallas County. This is a great resource. They have some great landscape designs and help on their website, which is dcmga.com. They have a help desk. If you have a question you'd like to submit to them, they do plant sales a couple times a year. We've had them before for educational classes and demonstrations, and I know they do those regularly in other parts of the county as well. And then, like I said, their website has plant selection and landscape design resources on there. Mowing, we want to look to replace our mower at the tallest setting, so we get the most height for the grasses, and that's because photosynthesis, the grass needs that leaf blade to be able to create its energy. And so if we cut it too short, then we're actually causing a little bit of harm to that plant. So being able to keep it at a longer height will allow that grass to better produce food for itself, but it also will allow more rainfall to absorb in the ground, better moderate soil temperatures, things like that. When we do recommend leaving grass clippings on the lawn, because those are free nutrients that are just going to recycle back into your yard, and so we don't want to fill up our landfills with grass clippings. So you can sweep those back onto the lawn if they get into the street or on the driveway, and get free nutrients. And then last, here's another chance to visit our pledge page, and we just ask that y'all give a drip and water less. And with that, I will take any questions. I do want to mention our next water talk on July 9th is on smart irrigation technology.